Wario looks into things. I'm very interested in this. In the Wii game, what is it called? Shake Dimension. He looks into a magnifying glass thing, a telescope, I guess. And through that, he sees something that is smaller. Or we would assume it's smaller because it needs magnifying. He's looking at something that's distant or maybe smaller. And by looking at it, he he suddenly becomes it or enters into it. We can look at another example of this. In Wario Land 3, he also looks into something small, a small island in a musical box. It's a fake island, too, a representation. But he looks into it, and it becomes real, and he becomes it. He enters into it. The small island becomes big. A zoom or magnifying process has taken place. He looks into it and falls into it. These might be the only two examples of this, but they are enough to make me think. What is Wario doing? Why is Wario... Oh, wait a second. Is it recording? It's recording. Okay. ah. Why? Why is Wario looking at things? Well, first Mario comes to mind because Mario looks at things too. He looks at a painting and falls into it. However, Wario highlights a certain distance or mediation. Mario, and this may not be so, but it feels like this is what's happening. Mario jumps straight into the picture. Wario looks at the thing from above. This may not be right, but it's like Wario looks at it through a piece of glass. It's either the telescope thing or it's the glass dome covering the musical box, for example. In WarioWare, he is appearing to us as a being on a screen or someone who is in charge of screens in some way. And Master of Disguise had some similar theme, I can't remember, where he makes a helmet to enter into TV shows he likes, something. But there's this glass dimension between himself and the world he's entering into. It's more modern or technological. Mario is always paintings and the prospect of actually traveling to a place. In Wario, it's more like he's descending down into another level or another plane of reality. Wario is more like a jester, so there's more of a fake, clownish quality with him. He gets burnt, but doesn't actually get burnt. He freezes, but he doesn't actually freeze. It's all a sort of fake joke or something. Perhaps that's why there's a sheen of fakeness to his incursion into the world. He enters something that's on a screen, and he's very clear about that, like he's referencing the video game itself. He's aware that when he burns or freezes, it's just video game burn and video game freeze. You know, it's art on screen. For Mario, it's serious. So maybe Wario is more into the world of video games because he's into video games. He's in them. He's Mario's shadow in the sense, maybe, that he's Mario's awareness that he's in a video game. And this awareness is then treated as a game, as a joke. However, the thing I want to investigate is mainly this zooming in factor and also the investigative factor. Wario is investigating. He's looking through a telescope. He's following the tropes of piracy and adventure. He investigates ancient temples, islands, etc., apparently because he wants to find treasure. So he's on a stereotypical adventure mode to find adventure-like places like temples, hidden caves, etc. So more than Mario, he's investigating. Mario just seems to be wherever he is. He doesn't necessarily have any interest in being where he is, or at least that's what is trying to be conveyed. The game says that Mario doesn't actually want to travel to distant lands and discover treasure. He wants to help those around him, including Peach, Toads, and any other friends he makes along the way on the Mushroom Kingdom. Wario, however, wants to go to coin-filled lands because he wants to obtain coins. That's what's being told. But what this means is that Wario is much more focused than Mario, or more focused in a certain direction. He has a drive and an aim. He goes to a place because he wants to investigate it and go there. He actively looks at places and feels interest in them, whereas Mario seems to apparently just be there. The second issue then is the zooming in stuff. Wario zooms into stuff. He looks at something small and it becomes big. Even Rudy the Clown in Wario Land 3 is like a big version of himself. It's a yellow and purple clown, the color scheme of Wario, with the same pointy slippers as him, etc. But it's just big. It's huge. It's a huge Wario. He's entered into a small world, a small toy box, and this box has become a big world, a huge island with a huge Wario inside. So he zooms into it by looking into it. Same thing with the shake dimension, perhaps. I'm less familiar with it, but the principle is zooming in. Small becomes big. This is a theme for Mario, of course, and for the Mario world, but maybe that's why Wario is showing a particular angle on it. Mario becomes big with mushrooms and small when he's hurt. There is a big, small world in certain games, and so on. But why does Wario's investigation lead him to places where, places that were small and now become big? Places that before weren't seen that clearly because they were tiny and hard to see, and now they become big and clear and obvious. Like that Shadow Wario who's big. Wario sees things that were unclear, and I think it's because he's quote unquote greedy. It's because he has an aim, which Mario doesn't. So that was an unclear end to that video. It was a text I had written, but I think part of what I was trying to say as well is that there is a way in which Wario is presented as like the dumb counterpart to Mario. Someone who has like just simple desires and zero just planning. He just goes where the money is. And he picks his nose and he farts, and he's presented as like a sort of a stupid character in some way. And yet, in counterposition to like Mario being a slightly more elevated character who's in touch with culture and aristocracy in some way, and is like, I don't know, is presented in this slightly like more elevated way. But then the thing is that you get the sense that Wario, because of his greed, is the only character who actually wants to go to places. He wants to go to the places that he goes to. And that gives him this sort of an adventurer, sort of map-wielding person who's trying to get places. So he's thinking about where he wants to go. He's thinking, I need to follow the map and I need to go there because I want to go there. It's not just because, this is where my adventure just happens to lead me. I want to go to this place, and so that gives him, I think, a certain like thinking quality or a planning quality that is why I think partly he's looking into things, investigating things with a telescope, kind of why he's grabbing small things that were unclear and making them clear in this zooming in way. Anyway, I don't know, just some thoughts on this kind of stuff. Yeah, thanks.